In a monumentous event, SpaceX colossal Starship, the world's largest and most powerful rocket, achieved orbital speed for the first time today. This significant milestone occurred during its third flight, making it a historic day for SpaceX and space exploration enthusiasts. Despite not completing its intended splashdown, the test was deemed a success as it accomplished several key objectives, advancing SpaceX ambitious space travel goals. I had a front row seat right here watching it live. That and many, many more stories tonight. You're listening to Geek News Central, episode 1730, coming to this Thursday, March 14th. I'm your host, of course, Todd Cochran. And hey, to all of our awesome listeners, you're the real MVPs. Contribute your time, talent, or treasure at geeknewscentral.com/insider by becoming a G Insider. And of course, a big shout out to our primary sponsor at GoDaddy.com, powering Geek News Central. Grab their deals at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. We are lit and live with a modern podcast apps from podcastapps.com. Join our value for value movement by downloading a modern podcast app. To all our amazing listeners and viewers out there, big virtual hug. Dive into the digital hub at geeknewscentral.com. Get over there and follow and subscribe to the podcast. Sign up for the newsletter while you're there. Check out all our partner shows. And don't forget to follow or subscribe. And of course, you can join our chat room. Our chat room's real easy to join, geeknews.chat. And if you have feedback today, geeknews@gmail.com, geeknews@gmail.com. And of course, at Geek News on X, Geek News, wherever you find content, or you can find me on Facebook. And a massive salute to GoDaddy, the longest running continuous sponsor of a podcast where savings begin. And someone in a post over on one of the podcasting channels actually said, I hate podcasters who thank their sponsor. Well, I want to thank GoDaddy again for being a sponsor of this podcast. You know, let's be very, very honest. GoDaddy's been a longtime sponsor here of the show. They've been here since June of 2005. And the reason they stay a sponsor of this podcast is because of you. And because of you picking up GoDaddy products and services. Because you support them and carry the load and make sure that we are able to meet our commitment with them. And with that, we want you to save. We want you to think about locking in some savings over there. And again, we've got the great deals going here. $11.99 for a brand new domain name, $6.99 a month economy hosting, $12.99 a month managed WordPress hosting. Again, $6.99 a month economy hosting, $12.99 a month managed WordPress hosting, which includes a free domain, professional email, and an SL certificate for the first year. Again, free domain, professional email, and an SL certificate for the first year. Also includes a free trial of GoDaddy Website Builder, your choice of personal, business, or business plus plans. That's a 1-month free trial. And we even got a promo code when you just go shopping over there. Click on it. You're not picking up a hosting account, not picking up a domain name. At least we get credit for you utilizing our code. We want to thank GoDaddy. Again, they've been here for many, many years. To keep them a sponsor, we need you to engage. We're halfway through the month of March. I think we're a little slow on the uptake this month, so we definitely want to encourage you, if you've been on the shelf, or sitting on the shelf, or sitting on the sidelines, to consider becoming a GoDaddy customer. Your support keeps this podcast online and the independent writing team employed. You support, again, a small group of independent content creators. And please use one of my promo codes. Share them with your friends, family members, people that you know, people that's on Slack, people that you work with, people that you talk to on social media. Sharing and promoting my codes is another way of basically writing a check to the podcast. So again, we want you to consider using a GoDaddy product or service. You start Your journey begins at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. Click on that link. That locks you in to go over there and look around, locks in a savings, gets you the deal that I can get you. It's really, really important that you start your journey to GoDaddy at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. Again, we want to thank GoDaddy. Thank GoDaddy for being a sponsor here. I would be foolish not to. And we want to thank them for their long-term support. Hey, also, we are now officially, we are streaming live for the first time ever on Rumble. And this is new. This is a new destination for us. And actually, I was going to load the channel up. Let's go see if we can actually see the channel. Are we live? Yes. So this is what it looks like on Rumble. And I think it's going to be picture in picture over there in a second, so it's going to be really weird. But I signed up for a Rumble account some months ago and really had not been using it at all, and I don't know why. Just hadn't found, and we did the new media show over there yesterday and got huge uptake. So if you're a Rumble fan, I'll have some links in the show notes tonight where you can find the channel. I'm still setting things up over there. If you are a Rumble expert, let me know, and we will we'll let you help out with the account if that's even possible. All right, everyone, thanks for being here. Again, got a great show lined up for you tonight. Lots of tech news. And let's go ahead and get into, that first one. Boy, I woke up this morning and I was like, yeah, I'm kind of getting around, getting my coffee. That's kind of my thing I do. Oh, that sounds like that's loose. Sounds like the microphone's loose. And all of a sudden, I said, oops, the Starship launch. And they had delayed it already, so I was able to get to work and I actually watched the launch from the office. And for those of you that got to watch, boy, it was epic. And what was interesting is I had this funny feeling about 25 minutes after they launched, because normally if you look at a Falcon launch, when they get to space, everything is steady, nothing's rolling and moving. But the Starship was, and I don't know if they were doing a series of maneuvers, but it was rolling a lot. And I thought, that's interesting. And there was a lot of outgassing going on almost continuously, which made me say, a little bit. They were unable to restart the Starship. They didn't do that test. And when they came into the deorbit, I'm going to tell you, it was beautiful. It was absolutely stunning seeing that plasma go off the Starship. But you could tell it wasn't even. And they had this fisheye camera that could roll, and it kept looking different directions, but you could tell that it felt to me like it was coming in like jaunted. Well, they lost a signal about 65 miles up. Of course, the first stage, it was all the way good, all the way down until it came to relight the rocket, and only about 3 engines relit. I don't know what happened. They're gonna have to figure that out. I'm assuming here that and it looks smooth. Maybe they need to relight sooner. Maybe that's the deal. But it looked, a couple of rockets engines started up, but they'll get it figured out. I'm sure that thing's loaded to bear with all kinds of sensors and tech. And but it was a very, very impressive launch in the camera views they had on it. If you haven't seen it, go to X, go to SpaceX, and look at some of these views. I mean, unbelievable, unparalleled video streams of anything I've ever seen from any type of launch ever. And I mean, it was epic. It really, really, it was surreal. And even some of the live streams, I had like 3 live streams on, and I was switching voices between them, and everyone was kind of dumbfounded. Um, this thing is a monster. But we will start hearing some of the outcomes, I'm sure, in the next day or two. But yeah, it didn't blow up, and the first stage, well, it kind of pummeled into the ocean wherever it came down. I wonder how how close it got to whatever bullseye they were setting. And the reentry obviously did not go as planned. And so I'm sure they'll take a month or two and do analysis and make changes and go from there. So if you saw it, I'd love to hear your commentary. Love to hear what you have to say. geeknews@gmail.com. And if you're checking the show out for the very first time on Rumble, we want to thank you for checking the podcast out. This is a podcast that's available on your favorite podcast app. You can subscribe to the audio version of this on any app. If you're on Apple Podcast, if you're on Fountain, if you're on whatever you may be on, but we recommend a new podcast app from podcastapps.com. That's the place to go. That's the most interactive, engaging, and actually, you can watch the live video of this show on that podcast app, in addition to over on Rumble and everywhere else that we stream. So, the next thing I'm going to talk about this thing with TikTok. U.S. politicians want ByteDance to sell TikTok or face a ban. We don't know if the Senate's going to do this, but the president is giving massive pressure to ban TikTok. And it's interesting that the current, Trump is basically, who tried to kick TikTok out initially, is saying boo to the latest ban effort. But the Congress, House of Representatives, 350 or so to almost none. Here's my thought. There's been enough news. There's been enough information. There's been enough disseminated. I don't think we need a big brother telling us what we should or shouldn't do on what apps. Now, granted, yep, data's going back to China. We all know that. We know that the Chinese are looking at this. We know Chinese are going to be spreading misinformation. That's just given. That's going to happen. But why do we want someone again? I don't like this nanny state. I'm an adult. Now, here's who is jumping for joy. Facebook is jumping for joy, and they're no friend to privacy. Who else is jumping for joy? Twitter? Well, maybe not. There's language in this bill that, if you examine it, would allow the U.S. government to go after Twitter and others. TikTok has impacted Facebook, Twitter, and all the other social platforms in a massive way in dollars and cents. Billions of dollars are being spent advertising on TikTok, and that money was taken away from Facebook, Twitter. It's all went over there. The advertisers are going where the people are at. 170 million Americans using TikTok on a monthly basis. Now, it's not going to go right away, but they're given some time. And 6 or 7 months to get it sold. Now, here's the crazy part. Now think about this collusion of what's going on. Former U.S. Secretary Steve Mnuchin, yes, a former U.S. Treasury Secretary, has got enough money because he's working with a private equity group, is thinking about buying TikTok. He spoke to CNBC and said he hoped the TikTok ban would pass, forcing a sale. It's a great business, and I'm going to put together a group to buy TikTok. This, I know some of you are not TikTok fans, and I've come, swung both ways on this, but I don't like. Again, okay, the government can do whatever they're going to do, and they have to suffer the ramifications of it. But what's next? You have to sell your business because you have a media business. I'm in the media business. I own a media business personally, and I have a corporation that does podcasting. Government comes to me and says, you got to sell. You have to sell it, or we're going to ban you. Huh? TikTok says we continue to believe the best way to address concerns about national security is with transparent U.S.-based protection of U.S. data and systems with robust third-party monitoring, vetting, and verification, the memo reportedly said. TikTok, meanwhile, told staff after the vote to pass the bill in the House that had no intention to change its data protection strategy in the United States, telling employees an internal memo viewed by Bloomberg that it believes it's already doing the best it can to address America's security and privacy concern about the app. So we will see. But the president is kicking the Senate to get this thing passed so that he can ban TikTok. What say you? Where do you lay? Where do you stand on this? geeknews@gmail.com. geeknews@gmail.com. I hate when someone comes in and starts spamming. I'm seeing just come in right now. Okay. All right. AI and wearables are scaring the well-being out of workers. They're scaring people. AI is scaring people. A survey of UK workers suggests that quality of life declines as exposure to newer technology, including wearables, robotics, and AI raised in the workplace. The study published by the Institute for the Future of Work quizzed thousands of workers to come up with its conclusions. Results show that digital information and communication technologies correlated with improved quality of life, whereas newer and more advanced tech were correlated with reducing well-being. Those correlations held across various demographics and roles after accounting for more influential factors. In other words, give workers access to computers, messaging tools, and other connected technologies that would give them the ability to work with more freedom and flexibility, and they're happy. Force them to wear a smart device or inject AI into their jobs, and the opposite is true. So what do you guys think? What do you guys think about lately? Those of you on get the newsletter. The newsletter's been a little different lately, hasn't it? No feedback on the newsletter. What do you think of the newsletter? What do you think of the show notes? Is there more relevant data to tell you whether or not you should watch the show? I know what's going on with the stats in the show, but I'm curious what you say. I really, really am. Do you think the AI is helping because it doesn't do nothing. We do nothing in pre-production here. It's all in post-production. What do you think of the outputs? And I've been tweaking some stuff as we get ready to launch the product at Blueberry. I've been tweaking the prompts. Today we tweaked 3 of them to get a little better output. We'll see how it goes tonight. You guys can see it in the newsletter and in the show notes. Tell me what you think. But I think AI is helping. It's helping our team. I talked about it in the last show, but yet people are scared about wearables. Hey, talk a little bit about insiders here real quick. For the past 3 days, there's been no insider donations. No insider donations whatsoever. So, we did get, just 39 seconds ago, 10,000 sats from Sam Sethi. The government and APAC is trying to control all media, and TikTok is not under their control. So sell or ban it so they either control it or mute it. That is how it's done, ladies and gentlemen. Sam is watching from Pod Friends. You can check their website out, Pod Friends. Just Google it. That's how live sats are sent. Thank you, Sam. Appreciate that. So instant feedback to the podcast. Isn't that a beautiful thing? Isn't it a beautiful thing? And we've had streaming sats come in too. We definitely appreciate all the streaming sats. Dave Jackson, Bilrus, Sam Sethi's been streaming today. Brian, thank you so much. Darren Schwartz, thank you for the streaming sats. We definitely appreciate it. And streaming sats add up. Just transferred 250,000 sats out of my Get Alby account and moved them over to about $160 worth. So we do appreciate those streaming sats that come in. We definitely appreciate it. But those of you that are not insiders yet, you can really help the show. You really, really can. Become an insider, keatonessential.com/insider. Or contribute your time, talent, or treasure. Time and talent is often wanted as well. Listen to this next article. Amazon says it sold ads for products shoppers couldn't buy, and the advertisers were paying for those ads. The problem came to light when a seller of advanced gaming computers discovered he was being charged thousands of dollars to advertise merchandise in California, even though he had stopped selling his product there. Rob Robinson said his Amazon's automated advertising system continued to promote his merchandise in the state, even though customers couldn't order it, because he was being charged for ads that were not generating sales. He says he made zero profit in November, December, and January. Despite him flagging the issue for several weeks, Amazon initially denied. After Bloomberg described the small business owner experience, the company acknowledged that he and other sellers paid for misdirected advertising and that it was working to fix the problem. The company said it apologized, and Robinson offered him a $15,000 refund, a fraction of the $300,000 he is seeking. Amazon declined to elaborate on the breadth of the problem beyond saying it affected a tiny fraction of sellers. $300,000 for one person? We will similarly contact and refund any affected seller and are updating our process to ensure any such ads are not charged going forward. So, if you have a product and you don't want to ship and deal with California, which I understand, that state is horrendous to deal with. Their franchise board and taxes and everything else, it's just unbelievable. It's a nightmare. Same with New York. So if you don't want to advertise in California and sell your products in California and ship your California products, you should be able to turn that off in your advertising scheme and not have those ads. This is a modern advertising system, Amazon. Come on. Geo-targeting is not, that should be your bread and butter. Hey, if you're watching live today, make sure you check in and say hello on whatever platform you're on. We definitely appreciate it when you do. Moving on, away from the Amazon tragedy, study documents headaches experienced by astronauts in space. The study involved 24 astronauts from the United States, European, and Japanese space agents who traveled aboard the International Space Station for up to 26 weeks. All but 2 of them reported experienced headaches in space. Well, hell, I get headaches here on planet Earth. This was a larger proportion of research expected based on prior incidental evidence. Headaches, some resembling migraines and others resembling tension headaches, occurred not only during the first couple of weeks in space as the body goes through the process of adapting, but also later. We hypothesized that different mechanisms involved for the early headache episodes, the first 1 to 2 weeks in space versus later headache episodes, says neurologist W.P.J. Van Oosterhout of Zands Medical Center. In the Netherlands, lead author study. In the first week, the body has to adopt the lack of gravity, known as space adaptation, a phenomenon similar to motion sickness. So it goes on and on. For those of you that suffer migraines, I know it's mostly ladies. It's my sister suffers from them. It's just absolute pure misery. I wouldn't wish a migraine on my worst enemy. Speaking of ladies and pregnancy, well, not ladies. Speaking of pregnancy, but not okay. Speaking of ladies, Aura's new pregnancy insight feature is a step in the right direction for women's health monitoring. Smart rings are just getting smarter. So the smart ring from Aura has a new feature called Pregnancy Insights. The feature is launched on March 12th and is described by Aura as the first feature on exciting women's health roadmap. Pregnancy Insights is a feature that basically provides pregnant users with more context on how and when bodily changes occur, different stages of pregnancy. It doesn't say if the ring is actually detecting this, but they're giving them insights. Aura's approach to well-being monitoring combines data gathering and educational content. So, what are they really doing here? You're just putting information in. I guess they're giving you insights, but I guess they're also measuring your heartbeat and other things that normally is done. So I guess this ties in. But anyway, if you have an Oura, OURA, you have this feature now on your device. All right. Another 63 sats from. Oh, he's streaming live. Yeah, there we go, Sam. That's what I like to see. So, if you're asked to download an AI plugin, be very, 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 very careful. The ChatGPT plugin flaws could have allowed hackers to take over accounts. Researchers found security flaws in ChatGPT. Salt Security discovered various plugins had critical security flaws. Those plugins allow the AI tool to access other websites and perform certain tasks, such as committing code in GitHub and retrieving data from Google Drive. Remember, if you're doing this through a plugin on your browser, it essentially has access to everything your browser has. 3 separate flaws were found. The first was found when users install new plugins. Again, be careful on plugins. ChatGPT sends the user a code which approves the installation. However, bad actors could have sent users a code that approves a malicious plugin instead. The second was found in Plugin Lab, a site used to develop ChatGPT plugins. The site failed to properly authenticate user accounts, which again could have let hackers take them over. One of the affected plugins was Ask the Code, which integrates between ChatGPT and GitHub. The third was found with several plugins and involved OAuth redirection. This could allow for account takeovers as well. Since URLs were not validated by the plugin, attackers could have sent malicious links to steal users' credentials. So again, just be careful. Don't go willy-nilly installing stuff on your computer. Be careful. The way we're going at Blueberry is nothing's getting installed on a browser. It's going to be done in the browser on the website. Amazon, though, is telling workers to close their eyes and dream of being somewhere else. A worker in one of Amazon's fulfillment centers who's basically was granted anonymity, sent 404 Media a photo. They took a screen imploring them to try savoring the idea of something that makes them happy. Okay, everyone, listen right now. Close your eyes and dream about listening to Geek News Central. 1,000 sats from Sam, waiting for the big Blueberry announcement on Monday. It'll come late Monday, early Tuesday, Sam. And you're going to probably want, let me think about it. You probably won't copy it, but some other people are going to copy it. Oh, yes, indeed. We've got something major in the works. that we ran through beta all the last night and all day today. Think we're ready. And it is so cool. Oh, I'm so excited. We've been talking about our AI stuff all of a sudden, but this other one just kind of came out of left field, and we are like, oh, let's do that. All right, massive interstellar project aims to cut 76,000 years of space travel to only a few decades. Okay. This comes from Unilad, UNILAD.com. Now, if you read any good sci-fi book, you know about, being able to go from point A to point B very quickly because your light speed or, you're able to get into warp or whatever. There's all kinds of science fiction out there that's good. But a British space scientist named Dr. Maggie Adrian Pocock, how come these folks don't ever have like regular names like Jane Smith, opened up about a project in the works which aims to cut down space travel drastically? Okay. According to those behind the project, the ultimate goal is light-powered space travel at a significant fraction of light speed. This initiative claims we could soon travel at speeds up to 100 million miles per hour, meaning we'll pretty much look at our current advanced rockets the same way we'll look at an old donkey and cart. She explains how the project will work, and she's dumbed it down to very, I guess high school education. She said what breakthrough Starship does is it uses something called a solar sail. We've heard about that before. But rather than using air, we use light. Light is made of photons, and those photons hit the solar sail, and they accelerate the solar sail through space. We've all read science fiction books with solar sails. Instead, they don't want to use the light from the sun. They want to use lasers. See, we're really stepping into science fiction territory now. If we could do this, a journey from our solar system to the next neighbor 40 trillion kilometers away, which current technology only takes 76,000 years, could take only about 20 or 30. But meanwhile, everyone on Earth would be dead when they got back. So, maybe. So anyway, link will be up in the show notes for those of you to read this. And again, this is not an April Fool's joke. This is something they're working on. Customs Border Patrol wants to use artificial intelligence to scan for fentanyl at the border. So the high-tech drug detection machines are just X-rays, really high-res ones, but X-rays all the same. The idea isn't just to get better machines, but to scan more vehicles at port of entry, with an end goal of 100%. And to achieve that, Customs Border Protection will eventually deploy artificial intelligence so officers can scan and process cars and trucks as quickly as possible. Now, when they X-ray those machines, do you have to get out of your vehicle? I've seen this, where they've caught drug dealers, smuggling drugs across the border, and they tear the car apart or the truck apart or tires apart or wherever they are at. But basically, these new machines are already processing some vehicles. So someone has crossed the border and gotten their car. Is this safe to be in your vehicle? I wouldn't think so. Anything that can penetrate metal and see things, that's probably not a safe X-ray to be around. A Lockbit ransomware kingpin has been sentenced to almost 4 years behind bars in order to pay more than $635,000 in restitution to some of the victims by a Canadian court, or 860,000 Canadian. Wow, that's quite the split. During a sentence hearing this week, Justice Michelle First said 34-year-old Mikhaila Vasilev was a cyber terrorist who is motivated by his own greed. He's a dual Canadian-Russian national living in Brantford, Ontario. He pled guilty last month to 8 counts of cyber extortion. So 4 years in Slammer, and he's got to pay again $635,000 in restitution. Voyager 1 is actually called home, and they're making sense of some of the data a little bit. On March 1st, the Voyager team sent a command dubbed a poke to get the probe's flight data system to try some other sequences in its software in the hope of circumventing what had become corrupted. Now, readers of a certain vintage will doubtless have memories of poke sheets for various 1980 games, not that this hack ever used a poke to get Infinite Lives and Jet Set Willie. I don't know the reference there. But an engineer with the Deep Space Network was able to decode the output. And by March 10th, the team determined that it contained a complete memory dump from the FDS. FDS memory readout contains its code, variables, and science and engineering data for downlink. So basically now they got to look at the memory dump and compare it to one transmitted before the problem arose and checks the ones and zeros, see if they can figure out where the issue is and if a solution can be devised. One folks says JPL is determined to get in communications with a stricken probe working again. So, of course, with a 44-hour round trip, anytime you do a ping, the pong takes 44 hours to come back. Over at theguardian.com, a political operative and firm behind President Biden AI robocall has been sued for thousands. The suit comes several weeks after Steve Kramer, a political operative, admitted that he was behind a robocall that spoofed the president's voice on the eve of the New Hampshire primary and urged Democrats in the state not to vote. Kramer was working for Biden challenger Dean Phillips, but Phillips' campaign said he had nothing to do with the call, and Kramer has said that he did it as an act of civil disobedience. Uh-oh. Well, they're saying he should be have to pay thousands of dollars in damages and barred from doing future actions. The plaintiffs are seeking $7,500 in damages for each plaintiff that received a call. Woo! The recorded call was sent to anywhere between 5,000 and 25,000 people. NBC News reported Kramer paid a street magician in New Orleans $150 to create the call using a script he prepared. He said, "This is a way for me to make a difference, and I have." He said in the interview last month, "For $500, I got about $5 million worth of action, whether that be media attention or regulatory action." So, again, you can do stupid stuff, and you can end up paying heavily. So we'll see where this goes. International efforts to disrupt cybercrime moves into operational phase. The Cybercrime Atlas, a massive undertaking that aims to disrupt cyber criminals across the globe, enters operational phase this year, 2 years after organizers laid the groundwork at the RSA conference. The initiative officially launched at the World Economic Forum in July, with members Banco, Santander, Fortnite, Microsoft, and PayPal. Its members now include 20-plus law enforcement agencies. So they're all trying to work together to stop this cybercrime. How about India? You got anybody from India on that list for all these, all these callers that are, doing predator calls against the elderly and performing elderly abuse by stealing their money? Meanwhile, a French government department responsible for registering and assigning unemployed people is a victim of a mega data breach. They comprise information of 43 million French citizens. The department statement reveals that names, dates, birthday, social security numbers, French travel identifiers, email addresses, postal addresses, and phone numbers were exposed. Password and banking details are not affected. So, 43 million. Yep. Safe browsing on Google Chrome adds real-time protection against the malicious sites. Now, there's been a lot of questions about this, but apparently, safe browsing on Chrome, the browser will check the URL in real time without disclosing which site you visit to Google's service. Google says that upgrading to default safe browsing to offer better protection. Until now, this mode had used a locally stored list to check whether a site or file may be dangerous. The list updates every 30 to 60 minutes, but Google says that a malicious website only exists for 10 minutes on average. Really? combat that, Google's drawing from a feature in safe browsing enhanced protection mode to check sites against a server-side list of known unsafe sites. But they don't tell what site you're trying to go to. Okay. I believe that is about as far as nothing. When I watch YouTube, I watch it on TV. I don't watch YouTube on my phone, on my tablet, on my computer. Well, I did this morning. But generally, I watch YouTube on a big screen. YouTube TV has been refreshed. The UI makes video watching more engaging for users. So YouTube TV, not YouTube. So I stand corrected. So YouTube is redesigning its smart TV app to increase interactivity between people and their favorite channels. How about that for YouTube? Just for regular YouTube. I want that. It's hard to interact with YouTube videos on a TV. If you send a lot of emails like we do, 70,000 or so probably every week, there's a bunch of new email standards, and we've had to implement. Of course, most of this we had implemented already. But the proposal, basically, if you send more than 5,000 messages daily, the protocols, including domain-based message authentication, reporting and performance, sender policy framework, and domain keys identified mail DKIM, focus on preventing list abuse. So basically, you got to have DMARC, DKIM, and SPF implemented, and which we have. But again, DKIM adds a layer of cryptographic authentication to validate message ownership. So if you go into your mailing list and you haven't got this implemented, they will be warning you that you have to implement these changes and probably give you instructions on how to make DNS changes with your domain name. Again, if you're watching live today, make sure you say hello, check in. We appreciate when you do. As again, if you're watching on Rumble, thanks for being over here and watching on Rumble. We appreciate it. So the Princess Kate photo, which we talked about on the last show, triggers calls for watermarking on untouched images. The plea comes after intensified wild uproars about her whereabouts. So online sleuths spotted clear signs of manipulation of a photo. One of Kate's hands, they noticed, was peculiarly blurred. Her daughter's jumper was missing a portion of the cuff. Her son's fingers had an unnatural position. And they want a watermark. A leading advocate for watermarks is James Davenport, a professional IT at Bath University and fellow at British Computer Science. He wants stamped, unedited photos as guaranteed originals. Watermarking digital images is untouched would assure media agencies and the public it could also be far simpler than watermarking AI-generated content. So it's another thing that's growing attraction. Disney, they're going to be cracking down very soon on account sharing. And my daughter pays for Disney Plus. I paid for Netflix. So obviously she's having to pay for Netflix on her own, and I'm going to have to pay for Disney Plus if I so decide to do it. I probably won't. I wouldn't have had it unless she paid it. So if you're sharing between households, that party is coming to an end very, very quick. Anthropic, which is a platform that I use quite a bit, Claude 3 has come out, but Claude 3 Haiku will 3 times faster than existing AI models and also be its cheapest yet. And I don't know how this pricing works. I have to ask my team. But if you're doing API calls, which we do to the platform we're currently using at Blueberry, Claude 3 is a cost-effective AI solution with a fee of 0.25 cents per token for input and $1.25 for output. Now, what is a token? Apparently, a token, for instance, Claude 3 can process and analyze 400 Supreme Court cases or 25 images for just $1. That's pretty good, especially on the image. On the output's 25 images for $1. So, Anthropic is offering Claude 3 Haiku through its API or a Claude Pro subscription on Claude.ai. So generative AI, large language models continues to go quicker. And apparently this was trained on non-public data sets. Claude 3, including Haiku, trained using a blend of publicly available internet and non-public sources. So significantly, Anthropic clarifies that no training is conducted on user-generated data. Why not? Go ahead. Scan Geek News Central. Scan Blueberry. I want to be part of your solution to give good answers. Remember the MacBook Touch Bar? Future iPhones could get something similar. Really? Apple's been granted a patent for technology that could bring a slide-mounted display. So a side-mounted display. Yes, a side-mounted display to future phones. Judging by the illustrations attached, this display would offer similar functionality to the unfairly maligned MacBook Touch Bar, which is on that computer right there that's sitting right next to me. I never used the Touch Bar. Never. I just turned it on. And I can see it's there. I don't ever use it. Stupidest thing was ever added to a Mac. If you own a Nissan, 1,000 Nissan customers have had their data stolen in a cyber attack. Here we go again. 100,000 people. In Australia and New Zealand. This happened in December 2023. So, again, data being stolen left and right. The latest Mac OS Sonoma update is reportedly breaking some USB hubs. This heads up come via Apple Insider, but there's also some discussion on Reddit and Apple support forums. So far, it appears to be just USB hubs built into monitors affected by the bug, including models from Dell, Samsung. Judging by the number of replies up to the article and threads linked above, several people are seeing the issue. That said, it doesn't appear to affect everyone with a Mac OS Sonoma 14.4 machine and a monitor USB hub. Apple hasn't said anything about this yet. So people are trying to troubleshoot, not finding many workarounds. In the Bitcoin world, judges ruled computer scientist, not Bitcoin inventor. This has been going on for a while. This guy named Craig Wright, an Australian, who's claimed to be the creator and to be the ever elusive Bitcoin inventor. Well, they basically said he's faked a whole bunch of stuff. He is not the person. He is not Satoshi Nakamoto. This guy has such a big ego. There's no way he would have not left his real name off the invention when he created it. So the elusive Satoshi Nakamoto still remains elusive. So this judge has basically said, you are not that person and you stop doing what you're doing, because he's went after people. During the hearing, Copa's legal team, which was the one that the Crypto Open Patent Alliance, said Dr. Wright had carried a massive campaign of dishonesty and forgery, and even accused of forging fresh documents while the proceedings were ongoing. On the basis of his dishonest claim to be Satoshi, his pursued claims he puts at hundreds of billions of dollars, including against numerous private individuals, he told the trial. The judge says Dr. Wright is not the person who created the Bitcoin system. He said he would give a full written judgment in due course. So, who is Satoshi Nakamoto? In a really crazy study, every 2.4 million years, not like we're going to be around to figure this out for sure, Mars tugs on Earth so hard it changes the ocean floor. Yes, that is the study. It says Mars is actually responsible for stirring up sediment in the deepest part of our oceans. The gravity fields of the planets in the solar system interfere with each other, and this interaction, called a resonance, changes planetary eccentricity, a measure of how close to circular their orbits are. And this causes warmer weather and more ocean currents. Okay, well, anyway, how? I'll let you all read it. Meanwhile, Microsoft has wrote a big check to Caltech. Well, they're about to. Microsoft has agreed to settle a patent infringement lawsuit brought by the California Institute of Technology, where earlier won $1 billion jury verdict against Apple and Broadcom over the sum of the same Wi-Fi patents. Microsoft and Caltech told the U.S. District Court for the Western District of Texas on Tuesday that they had settled the case in principle and asked to pause the proceedings while they finalize the big fat check Microsoft is going to have to write. Meanwhile, Epic is accusing Apple of flouting court order by charging for external links on iOS apps. Apple's so-called compliance is a sham, and I think we've been seeing this already. And a new legal flying accused Apple of non-compliance with the 2021 ruling that allowed developers to bypass Apple's 30% cut of in-app payments and is asking the court to enforce the original injunction. Once the Supreme Court declined to hear an appeal of the ruling, Apple released revised guidelines forcing developers to apply for an entitlement while still offering the option to purchase through Apple's own billing system. Moreover, Apple still charged a 27% commission on any sales made through links to external payment systems, or 12% for participants in iOS small business program. Epic has argued those fees are essentially the same as to what it charges using its own in-app payment system. To that end, it accused the company of failing to comply with the order, with the fees making the links commercially unusable. Apple's goal is clear: to prevent purchasing alternatives from constraining the super competitive fees it collects on purchase of digital goods. So we'll see. Since Apple amended a browser choice for iPhones earlier this month to comply with Europe's Digital Marketing Act, Brave Software, Mozilla, and Vivaldi have seen a surge in the number of people installing their browsers. The DMA applies to a set of 6 technology giants that have been designated. The DMA applies to a set of 6 technology giants that have been designated as gatekeepers in order to limit their tendency to boost the usage of their own offerings, such as their own browsers, webmail, and marketplace. The walloping of these competitors, which slashes choice innovation, is usually achieved through default settings. As a result of Europe's DMA, Apple announced plans to implement a browser choice screen on iOS devices in January. For Google, the DMA compliance means a browser choice screen and search choice screen on Android smartphones and tablets during device setup, as well as a search choice screen for its Chrome browser on non-Android platforms. So you can install this stuff yourself. People are being just hoodwinked into going with the default. That's the key. There's a great article by Music Watch, and here's the thing I want you to think about. 15 years ago, everyone was listening to their music on their devices that they had purchased, ripped from CDs, all this beautiful music. And I still have all my music. My stuff's all still safe and sound. But yet, estimated population of U.S. music streamers is at 91%, paying to stream what they own. So, but there is an increase of people that are buying CD, vinyl, and digital downloads. So there are 10 million new of you that have woke up. 7% increase in streaming subscriptions. There's between about 109 to 136 million people that are paying for streaming music. Obviously, the top reason for music streaming is the ability to listen to music anywhere, any place of what you want. So it's a good article. It's got a great detail to it. Link will be up in the show notes for you music fans. You guys know Proton? Proton's Windows and Mac OS Mail app is out of beta and available now. Proton, the privacy-focused company that offers a variety of internet tools like mail, calendars, online storage, and passwords manager, continues to build out its portfolio. Proton Desktop Mail app for Windows and Mac OS is out of beta. If you've used Proton Mail before, the app won't be a surprise. Proton Mail before was the app pretty much sucked. It really did. And a really amazing article by Chain Analysis. 2023 crypto gains by country. People in the United States, listen to this. gained 9.36 billion in value. UK 1.39, Vietnam 1.18, China 1.15, Indonesia 106. People have made a lot of money in Bitcoin over the last year. Congratulations. So if you've invested in crypto, you have done very, very well. 159.7 billion in gains was made during 2021 bull market, which we've seen a significant recovery from 2022. Now there was losses in 2022, but total gains for 2023 is lower than 2021. But one possible explanation from this could be investors in 2023 are less likely to convert crypto assets to cash under the expectation that prices rise even higher. I think they're going to go even higher with the splitting coming soon. The halving, I think crypto's on its way to $150,000, but that's my personal opinion. The United States is going to change healthcare's data protection standards as lawsuits file in. So OCR cited the unprecedented magnitude of the cyber attack in its letter, referring to the widespread substantial disruption incident has had on thousands of pharmacies and hospitals. It's also the entity responsible for enforcing data protection privacy rules set out by the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, so they're going to go after them. So the U.S. Department of Health, Office of Civil Rights, it's informing its formal inquiry into data protection practices will soon begin. Woo! Don't want to be the IT guy there. Well, do you want to see what the Apple car was going to look like? A canoe lifestyle vehicle showed what we could have expected if this would have come out in 2020. This thing is the most ugly. It is absolutely horrible. There's just no way. There's just no way that you could have got me in something like that. Oh my goodness. You couldn't come up with anything more. This thing, it looks like an AirPod box cut in half. Absolutely ugly. No wonder they canceled the program. Hey, Dan, thanks for checking in, saying hello. Appreciate it. Okay, everyone. Again, geeknews@gmail.com, geeknews@gmail.com, at Geek News on X. If you're not an insider, become an insider. Value for value, time and talent. It's always appreciated, but your treasure is really treasured. And if not that, go over there and support GoDaddy. Tell your friends, family members, people that know about our GoDaddy product and services. Only you can keep GoDaddy happy. And if you do so, you share my promo codes. Don't write them on the bathroom wall, but if you share my promo codes with friends and family and people that you know looking to get online and reestablish their own website, their own authority, their own .com, just like I do here at Geek News Central, and basically be on a platform you can't be deplatformed from, pick up a GoDaddy product service. And those who've been watching on Rumble today, thank you for being here. You can come over to geeknewscentral.com and subscribe to the podcast so that if you miss it live or in replay, you can listen to it when you roll down the road. Everyone, thanks. We'll be back on Monday, another edition of the Geek News Central podcast. Everyone, take care. Well, thank you for being here. Stay safe. Be careful out there.